Good evening and welcome to Face to Face, our new current affairs show. My name is Jasser. With me in the studio is Michał Broniatowski, editor-in-chief of TVP World, who will share with us his take on the significance of the BRICS Summit in Russia, Poland's threat to expel the Russian ambassador, and intensive diplomacy in the Western Balkans. Michał, welcome to the show.
Good evening.
So, Mr. Putin met his friends in Kazan in Russia for the BRICS Summit, but he heard some harsh words as well from some of the leaders who urged the end to the war in Ukraine. So, was it a Pyrrhic victory for Mr. Putin?
I don't think he was on the battlefield in this case, so there's no win, no loss. He didn't expect them to pat him on the back because of his deeds in the Ukraine. He knows very well that they are against the war. Well, everybody forgets to ask the question here, what it means to end the war. But what he really needed them for in Kazan is to be there and to show that he's not neglected, that he's they're coming in person, not sending their deputies, so they still consider him as the equal to them.
But yet, some leading members of BRICS weren't there. For example, Brazilian President Lula.
Well, he's ill.
Well,
he hit his head.
Diplomatic excuse, isn't it?
I don't think so. He may really had this hemorrhage, as they said. If he had, good health for him.
All right, so what comes next? Because, Putin was lauding this meeting as, an alternative meeting to G7, so the meeting of the most industrialized Western countries. He was talking about common currency. He was talking about, real alternative. But when you actually look at the conclusions from the summit, it's mostly a PR exercise.
Because this organization is PR exercise. It has no structure which would be comparable, for example, to the European Union or to NATO. This is an organization whose glue, in fact, is hatred to the West, right, or envy.
Is it? You think India as well?
Of course. Well, they call themselves, India calls itself the largest democracy in the world. It may be, but it's already leaning very hard towards authoritarian regime by Mr. Modi.
The Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. As I said already in the very beginning, this is a PR exercise which was used by Mr. Putin in this direction. He just needed a confirmation of being the member of an international family. This family actually is quite big because BRICS is something around 40% of the world's population and a quarter of the world's production. So it's not small, but on the other hand, a part of these big figures and then big countries, nothing happened really of importance.
Well, exactly. Jim O'Neill, who's a former banker but also a treasury minister in the United Kingdom, said, the idea that this can be more than just a club of loosely aligned nations is, quote unquote, bonkers. Was he right?
Yes. May I repeat the word or shouldn't I?
I'm not sure. Unless you use quotation marks, then you can't. All right. Well, let's move on to the second topic. Poland announced this week that it was shuttering Russian consulate in the western city of Poznań. And this was in response to what Minister Sikorski, the foreign minister, called Moscow's sabotage and hybrid operations in the country. Mr. Sikorski also threatened to expel Moscow's ambassador to Poland unless Russia stopped these actions. So what I want to ask you about is, warnings of this nature have been rife in the Western world. We had intelligence chiefs from many countries in Western Europe saying Russia is really stirring trouble. And yet it seems NATO is issuing statements. Is it time for Article 4 consultations? Article 4 of NATO treaty, which says the parties will consult together whenever, in the opinion of any of them, the territorial integrity, political independence, or security of any of the parties is threatened.
I think it's long overdue, because Russia not only is breaching international rules, in fact running what we call hybrid war. This hybrid war is something which, you know, you have this adjective or not, it is a war. There are even some people who say that the involvement of the Russians into American elections already in 2016 should be treated as Pearl Harbor, because it was an act of war.
Yeah, but there were no
victims, no blood. However, you know, we have this hybrid war on the border of Poland and Belarus.
Yeah, and we had fires. We had, you know, in Germany recently, you know, it was very close to blowing up an airplane in midair.
Exactly. So, as I said, it's long overdue, because and what Minister Sikorski did, I think it is a move in good direction, because it's enough of politicians saying we are concerned. You know.
But is this enough? Should Poland, for example, request consultations under Article 4?
I think it's absolutely justifiable, because if the situation is that acute, that the minister says that if it doesn't stop, we will expel the ambassador, which is one step short of severing diplomatic relations with the other country, and this other country is Russia. So I think if this is the case, if the situation is that bad, one should start this consultation, especially that it costs nothing.
Well, you know, probably the argument is that you don't want to devalue such consultations. If you call them, it should be a really serious reason.
I wouldn't wait with this until blood starts flowing.
Okay. I want to go back to the BRICS Summit for a moment, because there's something I forgot to ask you about. We mentioned that, but we didn't go in depth on it. What do you make of Mr. Gutteres' presence in Kazan? Ukraine seems to be really upset about this.
Not only Ukraine, I think the rest of the Western world should be very much concerned, because he refused to participate in the first meeting in Geneva a few months ago on peace prospects in the war. He was not there. It was organized by Ukraine. But he chose not only to visit BRICS meeting, but also to talk to Putin. This is compromising not only him, but also United Nations.
Is he maybe just currying favor with India and China?
I don't know. He can do it in a different way. I'm not saying that we should completely isolate Russia, but in order to talk to him, you have diplomats.
You mean Putin?
Yes, of course, with Putin. But if you, so there's no reason for people like Gutteres, who is in fact the head of the largest international organization in the world. He comes and shakes hands with a war criminal.
Yes, his people immediately try to put out the flames, so to speak, by saying, oh, you know, the UN Secretary-General has an exemption because in his role he needs to talk to even people who are indicted by the international courts for crimes. So, you know...
well, let them say what they want. The problem is that, this organization already looks funny.
Powerless.
Well, at least powerless. This organization is supposed to be protecting peace in the world, and a member of this Security Council, Russia, is conducting a war, and another member...
But other members of the Security Council were also involved in wars in the past. I think the difference is probably that, you know, this time it's a war of aggression, which is questioning the sovereignty of a nation.
Exactly, and China is doesn't want to say it openly, but in fact is supporting Russia in this war. So this is strange, and it really shows that this organization is only a pale shade of what it was in
you know,
the 40s.
Sometimes historical parallels can be taken too far, but you know, in a sense, it reminds me of what happened to the League of Nations before the Second World War.
Well, don't go too fast forward, because we know what was the end of the League of Nations. So better forget about it.
So you still have some hope for the UN?
I hope for the peace in the world. The League of Nations collapsed because of the German War, the Second World War.
Okay, so let us now move on to... There will be a BRICS component in my next question, because one of the missing leaders in Kazan was Serbia's president, Aleksandar Vučić. He was supposed to be there, but he excused himself, saying he has important visitors, including the Polish Prime Minister and the Greek Prime Minister. So what is this intensive diplomacy between EU leaders and Serbia about? Are both sides getting serious about expanding the EU to the Balkans, or accepting the Balkan countries into the EU?
I think it's Vučić's game that he's showing the West, showing the European Union that because you guys are coming to see me, I'm not going to see Mr. Putin. Well, this is a game which everybody understands, and you know, he sent his deputy to Kazan, and he hasn't met Putin since the beginning of the war, but because before 2022, he met him about 20 times. So in his capacity as prime minister and president. So,
but he recently, you know, at this meeting with Zelensky, President Zelensky in Croatia, he was pretty outspoken about criticizing Russia's aggression on Ukraine.
Words.
Okay.
Facts are that he was against joining the sanctions against Russia in response to the aggression.
The usual response from Serbia then is, you know, Russia did not put sanctions on us when we were put under Western sanctions, so we need to reciprocate. But that doesn't mean we're aligned with Russia.
There are also, so to say, physical moves, like, for example, refusal to export munitions to Western European countries.
But there were reports that Serbian armaments are going to Ukraine through third parties. Unnamed countries, let's put it this way.
Okay, officially it doesn't. So, you know, and he allowed large investments on the part of China in Serbia. And now he can say that he is a partner of a huge might, and then he's more important partner to talk to. Being, you know, friendly with Russia and China, it's a strong position when you sit down to conversations with the US or the European Union. He's absolutely aware, as everybody else in Europe, that he has no chance to join EU until the problem with Kosovo is solved. The problem of Kosovo is that it is a Muslim country inhabited by Albanians, which has this
ethnic Albanians,
which has this minority of Serbians, Serbs
in the north,
in the north of the country, and you know, Serbia will never give up on this, because on this territory there is their holy place, the place of the Battle of Kosovo Polje. which is a sort of a moment of birth of the nation.
Let me check if I understand you correctly here. You're saying there's no solution to this. These efforts to join the EU, this is all fake.
It's not fake. You know, this is a process. It's, you know, like chasing an animal in the field just for the sake of chasing.
Okay.
You know, it's the same story as with Turkish membership of the European Union. Everybody says, yes, 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 we need it, but everybody...
Well, with Turkey, you might be right there, but you know, I remember following the Turkey accession story very closely when I was at Reuters, and one thing back then was that around the turn of the century, some people started seriously considering it, and the Greeks stopped opposing it. And there was a moment when lots of people thought that finally Turkey is going to make it. And then things in Turkey happened that effectively prevented it, which of course some European countries might have been very grateful about because they didn't have to take a hard decision. But nevertheless, it was the events in Turkey that pushed the country away from this integration process.
You know, Turkey is very close to join BRICS now, because at least President Erdogan is saying that. So, you know, these are very, very complicated matters. I think when the process gets close to the conclusion, we will be discussing it. At the moment is just a remote goal to which we are running, but not very fast. Patting our backs on the way.
So you're basically saying that Prime Minister Tusk and Prime Minister Mitsotakis are wasting their time?
No, they are not. They are talking. This is the this is the job of politicians to talk.
I thought it was their job to deliver something.
But not where they are in Brussels.
Okay.
But of course, there would be a political win if one day Vučić says that, okay, we will seek some compromise with European Union and with Kosovo. Maybe you will admit us. At that point, both Mr. Mitsotakis and Mr. Tusk will be able to say, didn't we tell you?
And score some points.
And score some points.
All right, so we end on this note. Thank you very much, Michał, for attending. Thank you for watching Face to Face. My name is Adam Jasser, and see you next week.